that we recognize that even in the face of the greatest technology being foisted upon us, that we can rise and win if we act in unity. This has been a message not given by our generation alone, but by previous generations of African and Caribbean leaders. But we ask ourselves, why does it elude us? And the answer comes not from outside, but only from within. When I speak of the USA with affection, I do not only want to speak of that which is known in the Americas. I want to speak about that which ought to have been possible if the 1884 Berlin talks did not take place. The possibility of the United States of Africa, which is as diverse as India, which is as diverse as China in terms of ethnicity and language and religion, but which is entirely possible if we see not ourselves first, but we see the unity of ourselves together. This may be the cry of a naive and romantic daughter of Africa. But if that is the case, I prefer to die being a naive and romantic daughter of Africa than one who is cynical and one who is daunted by the actions and power of others. We know what it is to stand in unity with you to fight apartheid and to fight for the liberation of the peoples of Africa. For when President Castro stood to send people from his own country to Southern Africa to free your people, it was in my own country that the planes refueled, ensuring that that battle was possible. And when 100 years ago, almost, a Barbadian man and woman left our nation and left the United States to come here, Arnold and Mignon Ford, he wrote the anthem and lyrics of the anthem of the United Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, and his wife dared to establish a co-educational school here in Ethiopia, ensuring that boys and girls could receive education in a time and at a time when war was dominating the global landscape. They chose to see light rather than darkness. I ask us today in tangible terms that will allow our people to travel, that will allow us to pool our investments to ensure that the people of Africa not be denied the electricity that is so necessary as a platform for participation in the new world. I ask us not only to pool that investment, but to also ensure that we pool our voices, because there is too much division in this world today. There is too much war and there is too much conflict. And we know what precipitates and causes that. If we leave Addis Ababa with the commitment that the world is not going to be safe without a prosperous and stable Africa, then we understand what is the moral imperatives we must undertake in each of our countries to secure that unity of purpose and to secure ultimately the saving of the people and planet. I ask you today to recognize that, and I thank Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for agreeing that the first in-face summit of CARICOM and in the north, to Venezuela, to Suriname and Guyana in the south, to Belize in the west and the Eastern Caribbean, to come together to express our commitment to each other creatively through food and fashion and music and dance and art and sculpture, and talk of philosophy, talk of religion, talk of who we are, talk of the future. I ask us to recognize that we celebrate this year our resilience, and that we do so not only asking the people of the Caribbean to come, but the people from whom we came here in Africa, in India, in China, and the continent to which we went, in particular in Central America and Latin America. This is our moment to show the world that we were not simply apostrophes to the history and the modern history of humanity, but that truly we are the ones who can level the playing field and to create the opportunities that will allow the world to see people, hear people, and feel people, and to value the planet and its biodiversity at the very time when it is greatest in crisis. Let us remove the scars of history and be firm craftsmen of our fate, recognizing that the only people who can stop us now are we but ourselves. We have to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery and to build the future that our people want of us, and to give them that pride that is theirs. And we must do so in the spirit and with the results of ADWA. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Prime Minister of Barbados, Chair of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, for a global call for the African Union theme of year 2025. It is my distinct honor to welcome now His Excellency John Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, as the African Union leader on advancing the cause of justice and payment of reparations to Africans. Your Excellency.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Chairman, President of Angola, Your Excellency, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency, Chairperson of the African Union, and in the interest of time, may I just proceed on established protocol and say, Your Excellencies, my colleague, heads of state, distinguished citizens. It's a privilege to address this historic launch of the African Union theme of the year 2025, and I quote, "Justice for Africans and the people of African descent through reparations," unquote. This moment marks a significant milestone in our collective pursuit of justice, equity, and the long overdue recognition of the historical injustices that continue to shape the lives of Africans and the people of African descent worldwide. At the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the African Union in February 2024, our heads of state and government made a landmark decision to dedicate the year 2025 to the cause of reparatory justice. This decision underscores our collective commitment to addressing the historical injustices and their lingering consequences that have impacted generations of Africans and people of African descent. It aligns with our broader struggle for liberation, unity, and socio-economic empowerment as enshrined in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, a vision for an integrated, peaceful, and prosperous continent. Your Excellencies, the transatlantic slave trade was one of the most heinous crimes against humanity, spanning about 400 years and forcibly displacing more than 12.5 million Africans. It is estimated that at least 2 million of our compatriots perished during the Middle Passage alone. The legacy of this brutal system, along with colonialism, apartheid, genocide, and neo-colonial exploitation, have left deep and enduring scars on the fabric of our societies. Today, the descendants of enslaved Africans continue to face economic disparities, social inequality, systemic discrimination, and racial prejudices. Addressing these challenges require more than just acknowledging them. It demands action. The economic impact of colonialism on Africa has been profound. Historical estimates suggest that the continent lost trillions of dollars in both human and material resources due to colonial exploitation. The forced extraction of wealth, which included minerals, cash crops, and labor, deprived African nations of the capital and infrastructure necessary for sustainable development. Colonial policies intentionally stifled industrial growth, leading to a dependency on foreign economies that persists even till today. The systemic plundering of Africa's natural resources, coupled with the disruption of traditional governance structures, has resulted in lasting consequences, worsening poverty and the development and inequality throughout the continent. In November 2023, Ghana hosted the Accra Reparations Conference, a historic gathering that brought together African heads of state, scholars, and representatives of the global African diaspora to advance the reparations movement. This conference reaffirmed the urgent need for comprehensive reparatory justice and laid the foundation for stronger advocacy and policy frameworks. It provided a platform for dialogue on the financial, cultural, and social restitution necessary to address the enduring effects of slavery and colonialism. The outcomes of this conference served as a guiding pillar for our collective efforts moving forward. The 2025 AU theme of the year is therefore a call to galvanize efforts towards reparatory justice. It is an appeal to ensure that the dignity, rights, and well-being of Africans and their descendants are fully restored. Reparations involves not only financial compensation, but also restitution, rehabilitation, and guarantees of non-repetition for the abuse of fellow human beings. It is also about truth-telling, historical accountability, and the restoration of agency to those who have been marginalized for centuries. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the call for reparations, while including, extends beyond financial redress to encompass addressing structural inequalities, ensuring educational and economic opportunities, reclaiming cultural heritage, and amplifying the voice of Africa and the diaspora communities on the global stage. Achieving justice requires multi-stakeholder collaboration. Today's pre-launch event serves as a crucial platform for concertedly rolling out constructive consultation, dialogue, and partnership. We welcome the participation of AU member states, regional economic communities, the global African diaspora, civil society organizations, academia, the private sector, and international partners in this transformative endeavor. The African Union Commission, in collaboration with key partners, have developed the concept note and revised the roadmap to guide the implementation of the reparations agenda. This initiative will further the aspirations of Agenda 2063, fostering an Africa that is self-reliant, just, and inclusive. Through this launch, we seek to, among other things, mobilize political will and commitment towards reparatory justice and racial healing. Present and discuss the roadmap for implementing the 2025 theme of the year. Foster partnerships among AU member states, diaspora communities, and like-minded international allies. Engage stakeholders in resource mobilization efforts to support reparations initiatives across Africa. Elevate awareness and advocacy to ensure sustained engagement beyond 2025. Encourage dialogue and knowledge sharing among experts, policymakers, historians, and affected communities. And finally, to ensure an end to the culture of silence and denial on racism and colonialism. Your Excellency, the work ahead requires a unified voice, a clear strategy, and unyielding commitment. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to working together to develop policies and frameworks that will support reparations efforts across Africa and beyond. We must continue to advocate for stronger legal and institutional mechanisms at the national, regional, and international levels to ensure that reparatory justice for the historical trauma inflicted on global Africa is not just a conversation, but a reality. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I wish to express Ghana's unwavering support for this critical initiative. Let us seize this moment with the determination it deserves as we work together towards a future that is fair, that is just and equitable for all Africans and people of African descent, and by natural extension, the uplifting of all humanity. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Allow me now, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to move to the family photo while calling the rest of the respective delegates to remain in their seats. Remain in their seats, please, to ensure the smooth organization of the family photo. Allow me this time to call Excellencies and Honorable Heads of States and delegates in an organized manner to proceed to the photo session location. Allow me now to start by calling distinguished presidents from Liberia, Libya, Madagascar, and Malawi. Please follow our protocol team to the family photo. There is only one door open for the family photo, which is gate number 5. Please, protocol teams, lead our leaders to the family photo. And then the second row, please. Distinguished presidents and heads of states from Cape Verde, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Democratic Republic of Congo, Djibouti, Egypt, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Swatini, the Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Kenya, and Lesotho. Please follow our protocol team to the family photo. Excellencies, presidents and heads of delegations from Sierra Leone, Somalia, South Africa, South Sudan, Tanzania, Togo, Tunisia, Uganda, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Algeria, Benin, Botswana, and Burundi. Please follow our protocol team to the photo session location. Honorable presidents and heads of delegations from Mauritania, Mauritius, Morocco, Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sahrawi Republic, Sao Tome and Principe, Senegal, Seychelles, please follow our protocol team. Excellency Prime Minister of Barbados. They went? Okay. Okay, with that, I thank you all for your time and I wish you fruitful deliberations. They didn't wait.
Nobody wait.
Yes. They will change. I have my team.
Cannot be something that gives us satisfaction. To go east and to go west, we are forced to go north. It is not right. And it is not beyond the heads of government and heads of state, of the region, of the Caribbean community, and of the continent of Africa to determine that we must stop talking about, but simply do what is necessary to build the air bridges and sea bridges to guarantee that we control our destiny. I ask us to reflect on this because it is this simple act apart from our music and our culture and our food, that will guarantee that it is not simply heads of government and heads of state that will meet in Accra or Bridgetown, but it is ordinary people who will be able to trade and to move from the closest point of Dakar to the closest point of Bridgetown, to be able to open up the opportunities that technically ought to be available not just simply through the Africa Free Trade Area or the CARICOM single market and economy, but through the combined opportunities provided by both. I ask us equally to recognize that in an era where AI is threatening to redefine what humanity can do and even if we can survive, that it is not ours to be the victims once again of technology as we were with gunpowder, but it is for us to help shape the future of the world, because more often than not it is Africa and its people who have brought the humanizing forces to bear on civilization. And if we are to be the cradle of civilization, then we are to be the protectors of people and planet, of humanity, as we go forward. And some watching on may say, how? And I say, how not? How not does a continent that has 40% of the world's minerals not be in charge of helping to secure the destiny and stability of the planet? How not does the numbers of our two communities, who constitute a third of the world's states, not act in singular purpose to forge the kind of world that we want, and to be able to ensure that the institutions that deny access to us, to hear our voices as reflective of the continent and of the small island developing states of the world, how do we not secure that admission, which is not only just, but a moral imperative if the world is to have stability in this 21st century? My friends, I ask you, how do we not secure this victory when 1 in every 5 and possibly 1 in every 4 persons on the planet will come from this continent and its diaspora? Those who lead today have a moral imperative, not just to our citizens in our own countries, but above all else, to unity. The spirit of ADWA demands of us that we recognize that even in the face of the greatest technology being foisted upon us, that we can rise and win if we act in unity. This has been a message not given by our generation alone, but by previous generations of African and Caribbean leaders. But we ask ourselves, why does it elude us? And the answer comes not from outside, but only from within. When I speak of the USA with affection, I do not only want to speak of that which is known in the Americas. I want to speak about that which ought to have been possible if the 1884 Berlin talks did not take place. The possibility of